So once again, good morning to all of you. I share screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So yesterday, what we was talking about
Factor
is
of
the factor
safety.
of safety. Yeah. So we have taken some example related to the factor of safety, and we have understood the concept of factor of safety. So mathematically, when we are going to say that the factor of safety is what we can say the actual force which can be sustained divided by the applied force, that you are going to call as a factor of safety. Yesterday also we have understood that this factor of safety is always greater than 1. No doubt that if you are going to select factor of safety less than 1, then that design is not correct design, or failure will be take place. So never ever this factor of safety will become less than 1. And in some critical situations where the safety is not much more important, in that case also this factor of safety is not going to become 1. It should always greater than 1. It may vary from 1 and above. So when we are going to say this factor of safety which we are going to use in case of our machine design, at that time this factor of safety can be calculated mathematically. Here you can see this mathematical formula. So in this case, this formula can be used for the factor of safety. This FOS is nothing but factor of safety. Okay. So it is a part of engineering design, and in case of machine design, it is related to the force and stress. So when we are talking about this force, the force which is required to fail any component, that force divided by the force which is allowed to be applied, that you are going to call as a factor of safety. Okay. So failure load, that may be Newton or pound. Okay. Nowadays we are not using this pound unit. We are using SI unit. But if we are going to use these British units, then also we can say this load is applied in pound. So forget about that pound. So force is applied as a measured in Newton. So the force which is required to fail that component, that is denoted by F suffix fail. Okay, and which is measured in Newton. And divided by F suffix allow is nothing but the maximum value of force which that component allowed at the time of working. Okay, that means in normal working, if suppose we required to have the force which will get applied is 10 Newton, then the failure may be take place at 15 Newton. Likewise, or first of all, we are going to calculate the force which is required to fail that component. If it is 15 Newton, then we are going to use that component at such a place where the force will not exceed more than 10 Newton. So this factor of safety will become 15 divided by 10. Okay, that is 1.5, and which is always greater than 1. Now this factor of safety doesn't have any unit because force is measured in Newton. The force which is required to fail and force which is allowed to be applied, that is also measured in Newton. So unit get cancelled and this factor of safety. Okay. Now this term, if you are going to measure in terms of stresses, saying this stress, here I have written directly that value of stress, but can anybody of you tell me what is the relationship between stress and force? How we are going to calculate stress?
Force per unit area.
Force per unit area you are going to call as a stress.
It is
Anybody else?
nothing but pressure, sir.
See, pressure is different and force is different. Stress is different. Pressure, if mathematically you are going to calculate as, yes,
Stress is a resisting force applied by body per unit cross section area.
right. Stress is the resisting force which is offered by the body. Okay, this body, that is nothing but any component, any material, that is the inherent property of that material. Okay, so the material ची एक property आहे. When it get or it is applied by external force, it is resisting to that external force, and that's why in that body the resisting force gets generated. Okay, and that resisting force or resisting power you are going to call it as a stress, and that is not case in case of pressure. Pressure is nothing but externally applied force per unit area, that you are going to call as a pressure. So pressure is externally applied, whereas stress is internally generated. So pressure and stress, these are the two different phenomena. Because of the pressure, stress increases or stress gets generated. Okay. So stress is inherent, that is inside property of that material, whereas the pressure is applied externally, that is external force applied per unit area, that you are going to call as a pressure. Okay. Any doubt? Though the mathematically we are going to write the same formula for that, or unit which is used is the same, force per unit area, but the stress conceptually it is different. Okay, so can you tell me just types of stress?
Longitudinal, lateral, lateral, and shearing.
Rishikesh, longitudinal, lateral. Okay, anybody else? That are not the actually types. We cannot say longitudinal or lateral. Anybody else?
Tensile stress and compressive stress.
Tensile stress and compressive stress and
Sir,
Shear.
is a shearing stress.
shear stress.
Normal
Rishikesh, what do you
stress.
want to say? Normal stress, right? Tensile or compressive are called as normal stresses. Rishikesh?
Sorry, sir. Direct and indirect stresses are types of stress.
Direct and indirect are not there. Direct and indirect stresses are not there. Stress has three different types. That is nothing but tensile, compressive, and shear. That's all.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. So tensile stress, compressive stress, and shear stress. In detail, we are going to see all these stresses as you have studied it already. I think from your 8th standard, you are going to study the stresses, right? Maybe tensile and compressive and shear you might have studied. Even you might have conducted experiment also. that Hooke's law, might be in 11th or 12th in physics. You might have calculated what is the strain which is generated in wire, okay, where you are going to apply load. So you have calculated that strain, and based on that strain, you have actually strain is the quantity which we can measure by means of change in length divided by original length. Change in length can be measured, and original length also can be measured with scale, but stress directly cannot be measured. We don't have any instrument by means of which we can direct measure the stress. Yes, it is convertible. So once you able to measure the change in length, and if you make such a program that change in length is measured and it is divided by the original length, if you have put the value, and afterwards you can come to know the Young's modulus, and Young's modulus, if you are knowing for that material, stress can be calculated and can be directly visible on your screen by means of programming, by means of multiplication, calculation, and all that. But direct stress cannot be measured. Strain can be calculated by means of change in length. So direct stress is not a measurable quantity, right? So like length is measurable quantity, weight is measurable quantity, time is measurable quantity, okay? But stress is not a measurable, directly we cannot measure. Even velocity also cannot be directly measured, just we can measure the distance traveled and you can divide it by the time. So it can be calculated. So time you can measure and distance you can measure. So we can calculate velocity. Likewise in case of acceleration also. Likewise stress also cannot be directly measured. So you are talking about the tensile, compressive, and shear. So when we can say as a tensile stress is generated in any component? Anybody of you?
There is increase in length along the direction of force.
Increase in length. You mean to say that if we are going to apply load in such a way that it will create change in length.
Yes, sir.
If suppose we are going to consider this as a subjected to the tensile load, that is nothing but it is applied from the both side. Though if suppose this side you are going to fix to some wall or some rigid body, then also this rigid force in that direction. It means that it is providing reaction. And if you apply force in longitudinal direction and if it creates tension, then we can say that the tensile stress is generated. That is nothing but if we apply tensile force, tensile stress is generated, right? And that will be opposing to the externally applied force, right? So that is you are going to call as a tensile stress. And what do you mean by compressive? Yes. When the compressive stress is generated.
Stress is towards rigid support.
Stress is towards
Rigid support.
what you are going to call it as?
Compressive stress.
Compressive stress. Stress is actually cannot be said as a towards rigid support or towards applied force. It is just opposing to the applied force. So what we can say, when the compressive load is applied, the compressive stresses will be get generated, which will oppose to the externally applied force. That you are going to call as a compressive stress. So this first example is of tensile stress, second example is of compressive stress, right? So this stress generation or the sustaining of that stress is depend upon the property of that material. That is nothing but molecular attraction and bonding of that molecules. Depending upon that, the stress sustaining value or the stress which can sustain or opposed to the external force can be offered by the that particular component is depend. So it is totally materialistic property, right? Metal property, or we can say substance property. If you are using metal, then it will be metal property. Or if you are going to use that particular material, then it is a property of that material. Like we can take example that wood can sustain less tensile or compressive stress than steel, because the molecular attraction and bonding of that molecules or the force which is offered by the molecules by the wood material is different than the steel material, right? So it is depend upon the material and it will vary from material to material. Now, what do you mean by shear stress? Yes. Anybody of you?
It is a restoring force.
Huh? Yes.
When we yes, when we apply force tangentially to the body,
Huh?
that's called the shear.
In case of what we can say tensile and compressive also, the force which will get applied is along the longitudinal axis, right? In case of shear stress, this force may be applied tangentially, or we can say it as a tangential, but exact we cannot use word as a tangential force. But when the force is creating shear, that is the sliding of molecules, sliding I am saying, this molecule gets slide from one place to another place. This also, this molecule or this particular point gets slide from its original position to the next position. So this dotted polygon which I have drawn is nothing but the slided polygon, whereas the solid one which I have drawn is the original one. So when it gets slide, when the molecule or the layer of that molecule gets slide over the another layer, then you are going to call it as a shearing is occurring. Okay, and this shearing is gives rise to the shear stress. When we apply shear force, the shear stresses will get generated. Okay, so these are nothing but what the basic types of stresses and how they are occurring in any component. So already you are told that the stress is nothing but the force divided by area. If you are applying tangential force and if you are applying what we can say tensile force, tensile stress will be generated. If you apply compressive force, compressive stress will be generated. If you apply shear force, shear stress will be generated. So stress is nothing but, again, though it is tensile or compressive or shear, but we'll generally call it as a stress, is given by applied force divided by cross sectional area, or area which is undergoing to that stress, or area which is resisting to that applied force. In this case, in this tensile stress which is generated, if it is a rectangular shape, then area which is resisting to the externally applied load. Can we calculate this area? This will be the area which is resisting to that applied force. Am I right? So just you want to know what is the thickness and what is the height of this rectangle, this one and this one. if you are able to calculate this area, then this area is undergoing to generate or resisting to the applied force P, right? So this applied force divided by resisting area, if suppose this is the T as a thickness and B as a height, then T multiplied by B is the resisting area. Am I right? So force divided by T multiplied by B, that will be the stress which is generated, tensile stress which is generated. Am I right? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. Likewise, we can calculate area which is undergoing for the compressive stress or resisting that area which is resisting to the compressive force. Likewise, area which is resisting to the shear, that will be the shear area. Okay. So that area we have to calculate. We don't have to calculate. If suppose somebody is going to calculate this area which is undergoing as a L multiplied by B, this area. So this area is not of any use when we are going to calculate this face area. This face area is not actually undergoing to the stress, but the resisting area is the area that is which we have calculated by T multiplied by B, not B multiplied by L, right? So this resisting area, this is what important concept in throughout all our this course. Who is able to calculate area which is undergoing to the stress, he can solve any type of problem which we are going to see in this course. Okay, so this concept is very important. Stress and how it is generated and types of stress. Okay, any doubt?
No, sir.
Hello. Okay, so when we are going to see the factor of safety, at that time the stress which is responsible or value of stress where this material get fail, that stress divided by value of stress which is generated by application of external force, that you are going to call as a factor of safety. Okay, it is mathematically denoted by FOS, that is factor of safety, is equal to sigma suffix fail. See where sigma is the stress, though it is tensile, compressive or shear. Generally we are not going to denote sigma for shear, we are going to use tau for that. Okay, so shear stress can be considered separately, but we are going to denote tensile and compressive by means of sigma. Okay, so tensile stress, value of tensile stress which is at the time of failure of that material divided by the allowable stress in that material, that is also called as factor of safety. Here you can put value of sigma. Sigma F is nothing but the failure load divided by cross-sectional area, divided by again allowable force divided by cross-sectional area. Cross-sectional area is not going to change. Hence, it will get cancelled, and same equation we are going to get as we have seen it as a previous equation. That is nothing but the factor of safety is equal to failure load divided by allowable load, or failure force divided by allowable force. Here also, when we are going to measure the stress, it is measured in Newton per meter square. Fail stress is also with the same unit, and allowable stress is also with the same unit. So unit gets cancelled and we'll have only value for the factor of safety. Right? So let me know if you have any question. We're going to the next slide. Whether everybody has understood what the stress and what are the types of the stress?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just what I told you, that this sigma is representing tensile and compressive stress. and we are going to use tau for the shear stress. Okay, so shear stress is denoted by tau. Here also we are going to use this tau, that shear force divided by cross sectional area which is undergoing to the shear. That is the value of failure shear stress, where this material or that component get fail, that value of shear stress divided by allowable shear stress in that component, that you are going to call as a factor of safety. Allowable means, once again let me ask this question, what do you mean by allowable? I am saying it as allowable. That value is nothing but the value of stress which is generated when this component is actually in working, permissible. Yes, that well allowable as a permissible, that is nothing but externally applied load, if you are saying it as allowable load, or stress which is generated because of the externally applied load, that you are going to limit that value. Okay, suppose 10 Newton is the force which is generated or applied on the component for the normal working condition, then that will be the allowable force. Okay, whereas failure force will be always greater than that allowable force. Okay, so here we have completed this concept of factor of safety. Next, what we are going to see is the equations for design stress. Now, this design stress is nothing but the stress which is considered at the time of design of that component. It may be different than the allowable or the stress which is generated when that component is in actual working condition. Okay, normally we are going to keep that design stress higher than the normal operating condition or normal stress which is generated when that component is in actual working condition. Okay, okay, we'll see this thing to the next lecture. We stop here today. If you have any doubt, you are free to ask. Yes. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. You can put your number